Hola! What's good, everybody? Welcome out to no other than the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media, giving you that boom baba breakfast. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and thank y'all for tuning in. Let's get to it. Let me introduce you to the host with the most. We got no other than dancing and getting it on, Jackie Locomer and Erica King.
Okay, Jackie. Good morning.
I know that was a little bit too okay.
Get it started. That's what I'm talking about. Get the juices going.
My knees are like, what the hell?
We doing that this morning?
Right. They're like, no, sat yourself down.
Word. It's good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. How y'all doing?
Ooh, it's good to be home.
I bet. You been around the world and yeah.
Yep, I can't find my baby.
Well, his baby look like it's back there asleep again.
Well, yeah. Corinthians he's been
Leviticus. Word.
Kalamata olives.
Oh, I gotta keep looking at that book and find more names. All right. Yo, Erica, what's good? What you been up to?
More work.
Working.
The question is, what hasn't she been up to?
Yeah, what haven't you been up to?
We had some fun though on Saturday. We had our usual comradeship day in the region. Mm-hmm. So we had like a little kickback at Druid Hill Park. So that was cool. No organizing then. That's about it. Everything else was work.
Okay.
I'm saying.
Now, Jackie.
You know, I gotta say, I'd been to Druid Hill Park once. And it was for, some festival several years ago. So I only saw a little bit of the park. But like driving through Druid Hill Park, it's like, first of all, this place is enormous. Second, it's gorgeous. It is. Baltimore is one of those cities that I hate what capitalism and neoliberalism did to Baltimore. Like the public parks in places like Baltimore, you see them and it's like, man, this is so much beauty, but you see the devastation surrounding all of this beauty that the people are experiencing. And it's like, man, this is almost like a dystopian, post-apocalyptic movie. It's just a weird juxtaposition, but we did have a good time. It was great.
Sounds like a great place to take a date.
I wouldn't know about
to play frisbee, right?
Yeah, that's the thing now.
That's a jam. I say that about Baltimore all the time. There's like a lot of hidden gems, but I think it speaks to Baltimore is like the foundation, I guess, of like redlining. It comes out of Baltimore City. The black butterfly, white L is like the geographic makeup of Baltimore. So like there's like a L sort of composition where it's like white people and all the nice properties, and around that is the hoods where you see the boarded up homes and things like that. So when Lucretia came, she seen much of the black butterfly like on the outskirts of it. So that's why it is jarring to see that, especially when you're coming into the city and you're bypassing certain things, and it's like once you get to a certain point, it's like, oh, okay, right. So this is the Baltimore that they talk about. Okay. But it is full of great parks, museums, the people, the food. It's a great city. It is just a city that has been completely underdeveloped by the state.
God damn. TMB, that's how we starting this morning off.
Oh my God, that happened today?
What?
We'll find out.
Stop.
R.I.P.
Stop
Frankie
playing.
Beverly.
Stop playing. Don't play.
I mean,
low key, he thought he was already with that.
Madam. No, madam, no. No,
Hey,
madam, no.
my
Man,
cousin,
no.
my cousin went to go see him last time. She was like, he might need to retire. So, but yo, big up to Frankie
Oh,
Beverly and Maze for all they work. If it happened, we'll find out and do some more. But
Is Maze still alive?
you know what?
damn, she act like Maze is one person. Is Maze still alive?
It's Frankie Beverly and Maze Davis. Maze is like an 87-piece man.
God damn. Oh shit! So we just had James Earl Jones. Now I'm hearing Frankie Beverly. Wow.
We don't know if that. I don't know if that's
I know.
true. And
That's more than 3. So they go all the black people conspiracy. You know, everything happened in 3s. We done lost Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah.
Rich Homie Quan, James Earl Jones, and now Frankie Beverly.
That's and see, Frankie, you know, we country city folks, we love ourselves some Frankie Beverly. In DC, Frankie is right up there with Chuck Brown. He really is. And if he really is gone, oh my God, the grief that's gonna happen in this city, Jesus.
I'm definitely be playing some of that this weekend, man. So yeah, man. So y'all ain't tired from? Oh well, Jackie.
Huh?
Can you tell us about what's been going on with you?
Huh?
Okay, maybe not.
No, let me. What did go? Erica, like she playing again. And I'm not. Yeah. So just I don't even try to track the stuff that happens to me anymore. Because I don't orchestrate it. I don't ask for it. It just the universe just be doing stuff. And so I was asked, I was voluntold by a certain mentor whom I adore and respect with every ounce of my being. And he is one of like a handful of people that I have a hard time saying no to, really. I mean, just anything Ajamu Baraka asked me to do, the answer is usually yes. I just trust him, and he's been a really great friend. So he had this fantastic idea, fantastic in his head, to submit my name to the Green Party campaign to Jill Stein to run to be her vice presidential candidate. And he did that. And then he told me that he did it. Right? So I couldn't say anything about it for a couple of weeks while they were making the decision, while the campaign were making the decision. And you have to understand, this is why I'm not crazy about politics as they exist in this country, right? There's a lot of strategizing that goes into choosing who the vice presidential candidate for any presidential candidate is, right? And a lot of those strategies have to do with stuff that might not make sense to you and me, but they do make sense for the campaign. So they did not choose me for strategic reasons. The person they chose had a like seriously last minute family critical emergency where he had to drop out, like literally the day before the announcement was going to be made that he was the vice presidential candidate. Family member in the hospital, he couldn't do it. So then they had to rush and choose somebody else for strategic reasons. I was also not chosen, but for me, I was like, whoo, thank the Lord. Because I don't, that would have been a whole nother level of like, you know, decorum, diplomacy, and politeness that I just don't feel like.
You don't have decorum. We'll keep on.
I do. I have it. It's just in the closet, and I haven't taken it out.
You pull it out when you need it.
I don't pull it out anymore. It's covered with dust, and I know it's there if I need it, but mostly I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Word.
So now I'm one of the senior advisors on the campaign, with a bunch of other people. Not a bunch, with 3 other people that we met in Chicago. And I'll talk about this later in depth, probably on my own show. But the people I'm working with on the campaign are basically, we're the road crew. And what we're doing is organizing among groups of people. We're going to talk to groups of people, not just about the Jill Stein campaign, not just about the fact that people, if you're going to vote, you don't have to vote for either Republicans or Democrats. You don't have to vote for those people. You can vote for candidates who actually have policies that you want, right? A lot of people don't know about the Green Party, don't know about Jill Stein. So we got together in Chicago and we were like, well, why don't we talk to our people who don't know about Jill Stein? Let's we know our people better than anybody else does. So why don't we, make this plan to talk to our people? And that's what we've been doing. We started in Chicago meeting with the street tribes. They call themselves street tribes or street organizations now, because they have thrown off the gang designation that the government gave them. And I'm talking about groups like the Gangster Disciples, who are now called the Growth and Development, the Peace Stones, the Blackstone Rangers, the Vice Lords, the Moes down in Atlanta. These are people who, what Democrat or Republican has ever talked to our people on that level, as close to the lumpen proletariat, if we want to use that term, as we can get, as most of us would ever get. Most of us don't even talk to them people, right? So that's what we're doing. So the people who are in this coalition, they're members of these groups. And Jill asked me to come to Chicago because this meeting in Chicago, she said, was the most important meeting of her campaign. And she felt like she didn't have enough knowledge to really be in a room with these people and really talk with them. So she wanted me to come on. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I did know, y'all, that we would be in a meeting with Benny Lee. You need to Google Benny Lee. I'm sitting in this room across from this man that I've heard about for a lot of my life. And with other people who are members of these organizations. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? And we're talking politics. We're talking reentry programs for returning citizens. We're talking prison justice. We're talking reparations. And yeah, that's a whole nother, all that stuff. But when Benny Lee found out that the campaign doesn't have security for Jill, you know what he did?
He called up some of his goony goons.
He did. Yes, he did. Nice. And they were in that room that day. Like some of the brothers were in the room that day. They were the top security folks in representing like 4 different street tribes. They're all in the room. Benny Lee asks, "Where's your security? I don't see a security detail." And Jill is like, "They're not giving us a security detail. They're supposed to, but they don't." And I honestly, I was like, I wouldn't want the Secret Service around us anyway. So that's when Benny Lee said, "Okay, don't worry about it." He points to a couple of the brothers and he's like, "For the rest of today, you all go with them and don't leave them until they are back in their hotel rooms. And if they're going to be here tomorrow, I need you to check in with them and go with them." And that turned into them coming on the road with us. So we have a security team from these community tribes, they want to organize. So that's what we're going to be doing on November 6th.
Okay.
And
you starting to sound like a politician over there a little bit, Jackie. I'm just saying.
I'm an organizer, boo.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I ain't gonna never be nothing but
pocket, boo.
I mean, did you feel any threat? Was there like any people like saying, "Y'all just wasting time taking votes away from"? Okay, I figured that would be the main thing. Like, yo, this ain't going nowhere. Y'all taking votes away and y'all gonna make the other person win because y'all ain't wasting y'all votes. So
yeah, that's not how voting works, and that's not how math works. You don't when you cast a vote. If a couple of years I wrote in my dog's name. Because I just I can't vote for any of these people. Guess what didn't happen? Brewski's name it wasn't given to somebody else. It was
the vote.
Who you vote for gets that vote. It doesn't magically disappear and get sent to somebody else when you're not looking. And if politicians want people to vote for them, they need to give people reasons to vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than, I'm not that guy, especially when you in a debate and you sounding worse than that guy. But we're going to talk about that shit in a minute. Oh my God.
Speaking about debates, well, do we want to get into this now or after the break?
We can. I just want to say though, that was a conversation. Ujima People's Progress Party had a chance to go into Montgomery College to talk to students about the duopoly and third-party options earlier in the year, before there was even a Kamala. And that was said by our professor, because one of the kids was saying, like, he understand, well, not kids, one of the students was saying that he understood what we were saying, but right? Because there's always that but, because everybody has to be practical, right? And then the professor chimed in, I guess, in support, and was saying basically the same, that when you do vote for third-party candidates, that does take votes away, and could not explain that math. Because how does that work in favor of the Republican Party, but does not work in reverse, right? Nobody actually says, if you vote for the third party, then the Democrats are going to get more votes. It's going to take votes away from the Republicans. Like, it doesn't work in reverse, or it's never said in reverse. So the math only works one way, and that can be explained. It's not a real thing. It's a fallacy. And it's like one of those kind of gun to the head choices. Like, you only have these options, pick these options, that's it. And we see what that has resulted in.
Yo, I'm just going to say last night, do we want to take a, nah, we're going to just talk, fuck it. So last night, oh my goodness, that was
a doctor breaking his own producer rules. Oh,
listen, you should have heard him this morning about his professionalism, but let's carry on.
Well, let's go ahead and take a break since I just pulled up the stuff. I mean, you ain't got to tell me twice. I like to keep to the script sometime, you know what I'm saying? So what we're going to do is welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Liberation Media. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what we seen last night in this debate. All right, right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Yeah. Big up. Big up to all y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like button, and let's get to it.
This goes.
Let's do it like this.
Discos don't open till after dark, and it ain't till 12 till the party really starts.
Remix.
And I always had to be home by 10, right before the fun was
About to begin.
Crowds of people lined up inside and out, just for one reason, to rock the house. But in the daytime, the streets were clear. You couldn't find a good freak
anywhere. They did. They sure did. All right, let me take you to a time and place, y'all. Let me take you back to 1984 with Houdini. The Freaks come out at night off their album Escape. Yes, mixed with a little bit of 2019 Boasty. That's right, off the album Boasty Gang with Sean Paul, Wiley, Idris, and Nicki. Yo, that's what it is. A remix on a remix. Now, with that said, like, subscribe, go to patreon.com, go to our website and donate. If you can, while we are demonetized, we definitely appreciate your donations. blkliberationmedia.org. Once again, thank y'all, and let's get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Yeah.
Did you call Stefflon Don Nicki?
Yep. No. Huh? That's what? Huh? What?
Yeah, I did.
No, Nicki was on the remix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't play stuff like that.
Yeah. Nicki was on the remix. My bad. I ain't want to. You're right. I ain't even miss her name. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. All right. So, I wanted to start it off with This is the people in Ohio.
No.
That's what people in Ohio are eating right now. You know what I'm saying?
What? Ohio.
In case you didn't know, real quick. Check this out.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase.
And they're bringing their pet meat to the rally.
Hey, cat sandwiches.
I'm sorry, I missed the Springfield.
You ain't get
part.
that one? Oh
Well,
yeah.
I don't know how I missed that he said Springfield. Probably because I was either drinking because I was like, Jesus, this is, but I mean, look, this is it. It's been wild though that people have been quick to do a meme about the pet eating. But nobody has done memes about Kamala Harris saying, I am not going to stop fracking. I am going to continue to fuck up the environment. Fuck you, environmentalists. Die, fish.
Look.
Nobody did a meme about her saying, I intend to continue to support Israel and give them weapons to defend themselves. Nobody made a meme about her continuing to lie about those allegations of Hamas atrocities on October 7th. Nobody made any memes about any of the bullshit Kamala Harris said, but folks were quick on the draw.
It wasn't as funny.
Dog sandwiches me.
I mean, we knew we was going to get some comedy from this guy. I mean, when he said that, I was like, wow. And I mean, really, like I was telling Erica last night, I was like, I look at these as MC battles. And she was like, they ain't got no bars. I was like, you right, but they got flows and punchlines to the point where you just like, wow.
That was the worst cipher on the planet.
And I also think that that's like I don't know. I just think that it shouldn't even be viewed like that, because then it becomes more of an entertainment thing and nobody actually is listening to what's said. Because one thing, I don't think this shit is funny. It's xenophobic.
We seen your face. We realize.
I don't think it's funny at all, because it's nothing that's said about. I'm a child of immigrants. That's said about Caribbean people all the time. Banana people, coconut heads. We we eat all it, So I don't think that shit is funny. And then to see it like, oh, this is something that Trump is saying, so he's so uniquely xenophobic. Well, Kamala took her ass to CARICOM last summer and to call for the occupation of Haiti. And when they were ramping up all the gang talk, they were saying they were cannibal gangs. Remember that? That was all over the headlines. The Haitians was in Haiti eating people, right? So this is just something, she ain't stopping then. But now we care because it's elections. So I don't think none of this shit is funny. I think this is par for the course. Even the way that immigration was talked about and discussed. It's like a competition. Who can go further to the right?
And that's all she said all night.
Right. And because he's so ridiculous and he's so chaotic, nobody's listening to the fucking shit she's saying. That she can't be further to the right of that. So even when we talking about the ridiculousness in Colorado that we all know is a made up story, how is that significantly different from what the administration is doing to Venezuela now and the made up stories that's coming out of that?
Exactly.
But even talk about election interference, and they doing that shit in Venezuela, and they doing that shit in Honduras, and they doing that shit in Bolivia, and they doing that shit in Haiti. So he's ridiculous. Yes, he's chaotic. Yes, but this is the freaking choices that this country deserves. You got a freaking I can't even describe what the hell he is. But she's disingenuous and she's a liar too. There's no fact checking. There was no segment of fact check at all for nothing she said. She went up there and said Hamas was raping people. Still on that stage. And nobody, because he's so extreme, and because he took a few jabs at a black woman, all the shit she said and lied about on that stage, especially how she done so much for housing and she done so much with in terms of the recession, and she never tried Munich, who ended up being in Trump's administration when the recession happened. So for me, it's like, I don't think this shit is funny, and I'm watching people watch it, just watching it, just taking it in. Because you like nobody knows what to do, and people understand. Like my goddaughter is apolitical. She's 24 years old, but she's like, both these niggas is full of shit. Like
It was a shit show last night.
She at least understands that, but the dynamics of the why they're full of shit.
Yeah.
But then you have a whole churning of a post-debate hearing where they spend 15 fucking minutes talking about Taylor Swift.
What happened?
Oh God.
What happened?
Yeah, because Taylor Swift is endorsing Kamala.
Oh God.
So after the debate, that was
after
the big
debate.
Okay. Yeah, because he mentioned I think he took a jab at Taylor Swift. So there was a whole big conversation after. So they never got into the fracking, or was said about Israel, or was said about saving Roe. What is Roe that we are saving? Has anybody actually looked at what Roe is? Roe is so gutted and incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just throwing around words like reproductive justice, and nobody's asking, what do you mean by that? How does one get reproductive justice with no health care? And for even ridiculous he ain't lie about Obamacare.
He's like,
that shit.
Like, and you know what else he didn't lie about?
Working on a plan.
Yeah. You know what else he didn't lie about? When he said repeatedly, and I hate having to agree with this man, but he didn't lie. When he said repeatedly, well, she talks about she's going to do this, that, and the third. Well, she's had 3.5 years to do it. Why hasn't she done it? And it's like, you know what? We've been asking that question all this time. But what were we told when we asked these questions? Well, Kamala Harris was sitting right there, vice president, when Biden did all this shit. So let's stop acting like she wasn't involved. She didn't know, and she didn't have any control. And then she sat on this stage, that stage last night, and said, I support what Biden did. When the moderators actually did go into in 2020, you said you supported Medicare for all, but now, in 2020, you said you supported what was it, a $15 minimum wage, but now, but even when the moderators brought up her flip flop, she didn't respond to it, and again, as ridiculous as the shit he said was, the fact that people were quick on the draw with the memes about him and that one thing, but nobody has challenged anything that woman has said. And everything she said was way to the right of Donald Trump, which is why so many Republicans endorse her.
Do y'all feel the moderators were biased? They look like they try to just bring her right on in. It seems
I think she is. When you see who has been lining up to endorse her, I think that was really what you witnessed, because she never answered anything directly, and what you witnessed was a pitch to Wall Street. It was a pitch to corporations to say that I'm your girl, right? And that's what ABC is anyway. It's a corporation. But what we watched was it was a legitimately too far right wing politicians running for president, like both of them. They have terrible policies for working people. She actually put policies on her platform, on her website now, which are all about maintaining hegemony. Nothing about housing, nothing about healthcare. So it's not a serious situation. I seen a meme the other day that said Marxists have two sides. No, there's two sides that lives within every Marxist. It's like, we're gonna get socialism. It's barbarianism, isn't it? It's gonna be barbarian, because it's just like you're to witness people watch it, and then to go online after the fact, like Facebook this morning, everybody's like, yeah, we got to get Kamala in there. And then in the midst of that, because the same thing with the joke about the cat, right? Because it's a flippant nonsense thing to say. So people are making that their status, like the cat thing. And then people are like, yeah, but something really does have to get done about this immigration thing. Right. I'm like, oh wow, the fuck. Right. These are the progressives, these are the liberals, right? As they could acknowledge how ridiculous it is to be xenophobic in that way, are still leaning into xenophobia. So that's where we are. That's the state of things.
I would say from a competition, if I was looking at MC battle, I would say she won. He seemed to be on defense for a while. And he really didn't. None of them talked about any policies. None of them talked about really anything. But I would say it looked like she won.
And if that is what winning looks like, then the bar is in the garage, underneath the boiler room, underneath the storage room, underneath the hell. That is not. They got her off of whatever she was on in time enough for her to look coherent and to, make complete sentences without cackling all the time. But she still didn't say anything that would differentiate her from the far right policies that are typical of the Biden administration and the Democratic Party in general. We need to understand that the Republican Party in this country, they are the far right. All right. Democrats are the right. They are not a left party. This is not, they are not a left party. Democrats are right, center right. There is no elected left party in this country. And the Democrats are trying to make sure there never will be.
Yeah.
And people are running around talking about, oh, if you vote for third parties, you throwing away your vote. But then the same people are like, oh, this system sucks. Because y'all keep voting for the two parties that keep not wanting anybody to vote for anybody else. So you keep not voting for third parties. You keep making third parties invalid. You keep helping the Republicans and the Democrats stifle your own choices. So you create this self-fulfilling prophecy. You keep voting for Republicans and Democrats, and then you shit on people who refuse to vote for those people. But then you won't vote for third parties that actually have better candidates. But then you keep complaining that the Republicans and the Democrats are crap. What y'all want me to do? What y'all want us to do? Because at this point, we're doomed.
Can you pull up the practicality piece? I wrote in Hood Communist last week, and I think Community Movement Builders also republished it. But I wrote a bit about the way that it's being discussed, and that obviously was before the debate. But I think it's important because we're watching these sort of online left figures. They all at once, and this is what I'm saying. When we think back to the 88 million that was raised in a couple of hours, like this money is being, we cannot act like this money is just is not going towards a particular narrative, right? And one of the narratives is practicality. And then the way that people are talking about revolution, like we're all trying to like have some utopian revolution and we're not being practical. So if you can slow down, please. So I say that the U.S. political system, particularly during election season, is often portrayed as a robust and vibrant democracy where citizens exercise the power through voting. However, beneath the facade lies a deeper narrative of complacency, apathy, and complicity that serves to maintain the status quo. The rhetoric of practicality and the manipulation of identity politics reveal how democratic process has been co-opted to stifle genuine efforts for systematic change. These dynamics contribute to the erosion of true democratic engagement and reinforce oppressive structures, particularly in the context of global struggles and in perpetuation of colonial systems. The intent of this was to really gauge what the hell are we asking people to do? Right, when we're asking people to be practical here, because the when we talk about a lesser evil, right? What lesser evil politics, and to your point about how we should be seeing the Democrats as a right-wing party, lesser evil politics just continues to shift us right and more right and more right because we're conceding. We are conceding to the right. The more we say that. Right. So now the more that every election that we do the lesser evil shit, then where does the left become? What does the left in this country become? If we are left of the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party is all the way the fuck over there, where are we? Are we now center? And what does that mean to be center in a far right nation? How is that practical? And how is it impractical to think about something else? Doctor, if you could pull that back up. Because there's just one more part in the beginning that I want to scroll, please. Yes, I said the rhetoric of practicality often wielded by, if you can scroll back up just one sentence. Keep. You moved, damn, you scrolled a little All right, there we go. The rhetoric
carried away
of
with the scrolling.
often wielded by careerist liberals who position themselves as the online left plays a significant role in maintaining the U.S. political status quo. Proponents argue that seeking alternatives to the existing system is a wasted endeavor. This argument, presented as pragmatic realism, urges the masses to focus on immediate attainable goals rather than what are dismissed as utopian aspirations for overturning the system. So this so-called practicality is a facade. Now, there's another article that I want you to pull up, the Cradle piece. I don't know if it was the night before or yesterday morning when Israel bombed the humanitarian area in Gaza. As we're listening to these people deem who's going to support Israel more. No, I'm going to be the best defender of Israel. No, it's me. No, it's me.
I'm going to give them more bombs.
The U.S. New Israeli massacre disappears entire families in Gaza humanitarian zone. This created a 30-foot fucking crater.
Damn. Good God.
It was a U.S. bomb. So it goes on to say Israeli forces committed a new massacre against displaced Palestinians in southern Gaza's al-Mawasi region early on September 10th, described by the Strip's civil defense as among the most heinous since the start of the war. At least 40 Palestinians were killed and a minimum of 60 injured in a strike on the designated safe zone where displaced Palestinians in tent encampments have been repeatedly targeted by Israel over the past months. Over 20 tents sheltering displaced Palestinians were hit in the early morning attack on al-Mawasi, located on the coast near Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis. You can scroll down a little more. The Wafa News Agency reported that live missiles were used in an attack, causing total destruction in the tents and digging craters 9 meters deep into the ground, which made it more difficult for rescue and medical teams to reach the victims. The people are buried in the sand. They were retrieved as body parts. You can close it.
And you know what they're doing now in Gaza, because the death toll, the devastation, the brutality, the massacres are so unconscionable. They can't identify bodies anymore. They cannot identify people by, their body, because people's bodies are in pieces. So you know what they're doing now? They're taking the pieces and they're estimating the weight of the bag of body parts, and they are identifying the bag of random body parts that they collect based on weight of either an adult or a child. This is what's happening in Gaza right now, that the Biden-Harris administration facilitated, took our tax dollars, our healthcare money, our education money, our housing money, our money, and dropped those bombs on those people, hosted the butcher of the ZAE here, gave him a standing ovation. Harris claimed, I wasn't there, but she did meet with him. She did meet privately with Netanyahu and promised him she would continue to support him. And they are weighing body parts of people in Gaza because there are no whole people left to identify. And none of this was talked about on the debate stage. None of the people, talking about, this is Kamala looked presidential. She was this. She was masterful. She's a fucking genocidaire. She is a mass murderer. War criminal is not a strong enough term. She's a fucking monster. She is the devil of Palestine. But yay, black girl magic. That's where y'all are. And it's wild to me that it's Africans. Like, when did our people stop being human on such a mass scale? This is that me out, Ricky.
That's actually, like, I'm just to talk about people's being buried in the sand. I mean, I've seen children. First of all, 11 straight months of streaming these hideous crimes is not normal.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a normal thing. Decapitated children is not a normal thing. And we have been made to be practical by dismissing this for the sake of what? Because none of the things that she's saying domestically is written anywhere. There's no policy. She hasn't thought of anything like he hasn't thought of the damn what to replace Obamacare with. There's no plans anywhere for any of us. Okay? Biden came in 2020 with this same spiel. He's going to do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And none of it got done. We watched Medicare for All get wiped off immediately. Then they ended SNAP.
Mm-hmm.
They cut SNAP for millions of people. Cory Bush sat on them steps for no reason because they never overturned the housing referendum.
That's right.
Did none of that. What has consistently been funded was war. What has consistently been funded was overturning of people's countries and removal of sovereignty. The expansion of Southcom, the expansion of AFRICOM, Ukraine, even the nonsense. So it also to the left that wants to portray Trump as some anti-war candidate, and I don't know what the hell that's about. But if you listen to what the fuck he was saying about Ukraine, if you listen to what the fuck that man was saying about Ukraine, there is not an anti-war bone in his body. Jump off that ship. It's delusion.
And then, you know, there were certain like little things that and they weren't little things, but I'm sure things that people miss, like, you know, when Harris was talking about the ridiculous stuff Trump was saying about abortion. Yeah, the stuff he was saying about, you know, babies being born and then being aborted, which that's not what abortion is, because if the baby is born, then it's not. But you know what I mean. But Harris's response, and I think this is when Trump said she's had 4 years to do, you know, 4 years to do it. Why hasn't she? You know, Harris's response, repudiating him for, you know, his ridiculous comments about abortion and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's true he lied, but what have they done? The Democrats did not a damn thing to protect reproductive rights. They didn't do anything to protect Roe versus Wade. They didn't do. And so when she stood there and said, we have to reapply or apply the protections of Roe versus Wade, well, how come you didn't do it? I mean, the Democrats had a supermajority. They had what? It's been since the Biden administration now, almost 15 years in power. And they didn't codify Roe v. Wade because, remember, under Obama, he told us that the Democrats said abortion rights were not a priority. I mean, he told the truth, and y'all didn't listen then, and y'all are still surprised.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't understand.
Nancy
like
Pelosi
they tell you,
and
you just stay not believing that these people mean what they say.
Yeah, because she has long time said it's not a hardline issue. And then if you remember in 2020, they ran to to Texas to support that candidate who was an anti-abortion Democrat. And they ran to Ohio for the same reasons. I mean, even when we talk about who's supporting her, let's not forget who was supporting him. What is the governor of Ohio at that time that was passing all those anti-abortion laws and legislation was on that stage at the DNC in 2020. Full support. But I will say, nobody is allowed to come at me with the, oh, so you want Trump to win when your motherfucking candidate is being supported by Dick Cheney.
Ooh.
Like, don't say a word to me about that. Okay, you resolve that issue first. Because if you think that, and also let us not forget that Dick Cheney also pushed Joe Biden to run. Joe Biden was sitting at home with his tea, thinking about Bo, reminiscing. He was not jumping into this race. That's why he jumped in last minute. It was Dick Cheney that supported that and pushed it and lobbied for him to jump in. He was the last candidate to run.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So this is par for the course.
And let me just remind people that there is a precedence for that, because you want to know who convinced Donald Trump to run in 2016? Take a wild guess. It was Bill Clinton. It was Bill Clinton. Because remember the famous picture of the Clintons and the Trumps at one of their kids' wedding together? They really are friends, y'all. They really do roll like that. They golf together, they hang out together, their kids marry each other, they go to dinner. Yes.
It's incestuous, yeah.
Is an incredibly incestuous. So it was Bill Clinton who, because remember, Trump used to be a Democrat. And it was a conversation with Bill Clinton. Donald Trump talking to Bill Clinton, says, should I run for? And Bill Clinton's like, yeah, why the hell not? So this idea that people have that there is some kind of daylight in between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, you people who keep saying that there is something better about that they are the lesser evil. First of all, evil is evil. There's no such thing as a lesser evil. Like, if a monster is going to come and eat me, is it less horrifying if the monster eats me over 2 days or just gobbles me up on the one day? I mean, which can we consider it a lesser evil if I get gobbled up all at one time? Maybe I don't want to be gobbled up at all.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I don't, it is hard for me to conceptualize the level of self-delusion it is taking for people to continue to support the Democratic Party after all of this. I'm truly kind of afraid of a lot of people in this country right now in a way that I didn't think I ever would be. Everybody is looking kind of suspect to me right now, and we down bad. We down bad, y'all, real bad.
Yeah. Also, I don't know because I don't see Renee in the chat, so I'm assuming this is to me because I'm the only one that mentioned the webpage. But go look at the webpage. What is said about housing? What is said about having something put up there is not a policy. It is words. We are being wrapped up in semantics constantly. How do you intend to do this? What is the issue with housing, especially in California? Especially as a California candidate. You mean to tell me when she was prosecuted, when she was in California politics, she wasn't doing a damn thing for housing then. But now, as president, you know, as president, well, we all know local state power is where the power actually resides, because that's how the government decided to do things. All states have their own rights, right? There's no federal law.
No.
We're
government
asking for federal
overreach.
housing referendum. Is she talking about a federal housing referendum, or is she talking about working with private equity firms?
Right there. That's it. Yep.
Fuck out my face. Like,
yep. And she said it on the debate stage. She said it last night. She said in relation to housing, we need to work with the home builders and the developers to increase the stock of housing. That's not the foundation of the housing issue. We don't need more housing, and we sure as hell don't need the private developers to build more housing. There is already enough vacant housing in this country to house every homeless person in this country, plus some more. But that housing stock is now either owned already outright or being bought up by private equity firms.
Yeah. In 2019, New York City, the 200,000 vacant apartments in New York City was being called the sixth borough. That's how many vacant homes was in New York City. It was so many that it could account for its own borough, right? And that was before 2020 in the housing crisis. And now we see in New York City right now, the landlord class has now called, I think it's like the housing justice. Anyway, they are forming up like Voltron to take down people and put them out of their house. Yeah, that's what's happening in New York right now.
Damn.
Right now, under a Democrat, no less. And she's supposed to do what? When we talk, like, it's more neoliberal policies. It's more policies that involves more corporations and private equity. That's it. The same with healthcare. That's the resolve. The resolve with housing. Let's pull in more private equity. The resolve with education. Let's pull in more private equity. And it's our ass to catch.
And because
I don't even understand. They have been playing this game since the 80s. Since the 80s.
Yep.
And it's just fear mongering about what Project 2025 is going to bring, and we are living in it now. And she's saying that if she is talking to the right of him on immigration, on fracking, on a whole bunch of issues, then what is it to fear in that policy, in the 800 pages? Because some of those things are already existing. Waltz is promoting the Cop City that's going down in Minnesota. Right? So a lot of these things is already existing. So what is it? This is false choices that are being called practical. We have to be practical about these false choices. It's maddening. It is maddening. And Malia said, like, what does Malia say? Like, if you don't find this shit crazy, there's something gotta be wrong with you.
Something's wrong with you.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. It's wild because this woman is on this stage, and I'm thinking of all of our climate comrades, our climate organizing comrades like Anthony and the folks that he works with, and I'm listening to this woman talk about. I just messaged with Kali Akuno earlier yesterday, and he's like, we're doing hurricane prep down here, and they're doing hurricane prep because they don't have any state resources to protect them. Because the states have never invested in infrastructure to protect from climate change. And hear this woman talking about she's not going to stop fracking. And if she's not going to stop fracking, that's right. Tim Walz, when he campaigned, I think he said, I'm never going to allow a pipeline on indigenous land. And then when he got elected, what did he do? He rammed through a pipeline right through in indigenous land. And we tell people about these things that these people have done. It's public information. They're not hiding it. And still, we're the ones who get told, well, you must want Trump to win. Y'all must like fascism. That's really my response at this point. Y'all love fascism.
Well, they think they can vote it out. So they think you can go to the polls and vote out fascism.
Yay, we elected Kamala Harris. Fascism is solved. Yeah. And Kamala Harris
that's what we did in 2020.
And Kamala Harris is the silk press fascist. And y'all think she's better than, oh my God.
Jasper, they mad at us in the chat.
Look here.
Listen. Evidence. Go read my article. That's where everything is linked. I do write. This is a morning show, love.
Yes.
But you can also go look at her, go on the website.
You can.
What does it say in housing? Does it not mention the private equity firms?
Yes. Does she talk about guaranteed public housing? No? Okay. Does she even mention social housing? Which is actually something that here in DC, a couple of council members are talking about, which is a good thing. But is she talking about any kind of, what was the thing that returning the commons to the people? Any kind of nothing. It's just more. Let me tell you what Kamala Harris did last night. Remember when Joe Biden told Wall Street that if I'm elected, nothing will fundamentally change for you? He left out the "for you" part, but because he was talking to them at their private event, he didn't have to say that because he was just talking to them, and they applauded and they voted for him, and that's exactly what happened. Kamala Harris's performance in the debate last night was her version of nothing will fundamentally change to the very same people that Joe Biden promised.
She skirted questions like he skirted questions. Nobody answered anything directly except when it came to who could be more lethal and who could be more vicious and who could be stronger in the eyes of the world stage, right? So none of this, there was nothing distinct. They have terrible policies or terrible plans for the working people. She talks about working people as semantically, because all of it is about a middle class that it seemingly doesn't even exist. Right. So she campaigns to a middle class and speaks to a working class, and there's no policies for either. Because people are still struggling with the cost of food, housing, healthcare, childcare.
And that was wild because
equity.
That's another thing that Trump said before he said something absolutely ridiculous. But that's the thing with that dude. You know that something is not connecting up there, but something fires off correctly enough sometimes where you're like, well, shit, I didn't expect him to make sense right there. Because when that man said, look, people in this country cannot afford eggs, can't afford cereal, can't afford the gas, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't lying. Now, he lied about his economy being so much better. That's not how economies work.
But she boasted, that her economic plan is supported by Goldman Sachs. Like, she said that on the stage. Get on my face, Casper. Like what mean evidence? She said it out her mouth. They're both corporate shrill. Like, it's not even about not even saying anything or being critical of Trump, but they're both corporate shrills. Like, both of them are speaking to a particular audience that they know they want to get the lobbying funds from. They're not speaking to or for us, neither one. And what I would hope that is clear here, at least from what I'm saying, is don't be fooled by the ideas because she has more composure and because she can, cackle at the nonsense he says, that she is somehow saying something different, because she is not. She is not saying anything different.
Welcome to the sorority party.
Don't even get me started on that. I don't even want to insult my friends who are sorority, who are Greek members, my family members. Don't even get me started.
He's like, and it's funny when the moderator was like, so when you brought up her being black and stuff like that, I was like, really? These are the questions that's being asked by the moderators. And she's like, she's black, whatever. Some days she is, she's not.
I could not have cared less about that particular question. But what's going to happen is, what I'm sure is happening is that a whole lot of black folks, black women in particular, are going to make a big deal about the ways that he disrespected her when he told her, like, under his breath to calm down or whatever it was, or and I think at another point he said something else slick to her as she was rebutting him. People are going to seize on, look at how he disrespected this black woman, and she's standing there literally telling us, I hate all y'all. I hate every single one of you. I ain't giving you shit. I'm not giving you anything. If you poor, if you homeless, sucks to be you, because I am going to continue to give Wall Street and the Department of Defense and Israel and Ukraine every dime of your money. That is what she's told y'all last night. And some of y'all in the chat mad at us because we heard what she said, but you chose not to. That ain't my fault. You got wax in your ears.
Boy, they was ducking some questions last night. Boy, they was straight up asking them questions. They was like, now back to what I want to say.
Right. Remember, she didn't get to respond to something. Yeah. That's when I think she got a little.
I think it was Trump when they asked him about the veto joint. Like, he just straight up was like, yeah. Anyway, let me.
Yeah, he kept talking, and then they was trying to move on, and she's like, I want to respond. He said something, I want to respond. And I think that's the first time I seen her in that time get a little like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah. But that's the draw. And I think, and even in that practicality piece, I talk about that identity reductionism, because that is the draw that has been manufactured over the last decade through social media, through academia, through these freaking liberal ass black women that work for HuffPost Black Voices and all those other Madame Noir and all these other freaking publications that came up on this shit of listen to black women uncritically, right? There's no class dynamic of black women. Just listen to them. All of them. Anyone that approaches you. Everybody's right. Because black woman, right? And that's where we are now. That we cannot even be critical of a Kamala Harris.
Yeah, let me bring that back up
criticism is valid.
For what somebody, Kay Harris, said in the chat room. They asked her about fracking, and she started talking about her hardworking mama.
She did. She did. The moderator, they asked her about her flop on the fracking and all of, I don't know how she started talking about her hardworking mama, but I noticed that when Trump accused her of being a Marxist, which is an insult to me as an actual Marxist Leninist whole ass commie, she ain't no damn Marxist. Don't you dare misidentify that.
He did make her look good. She's like, she wants to defund the police. I was like,
but then she talking about her hardworking mama when she's asked about fracking. But when Trump said she was a Marxist and her daddy is a Marxist professor, I was waiting for her to be like, well, I don't agree with my father and I don't talk to him. But you know,
he's not a Marxist professor, and I don't agree with her father either. A lot of shit he said. That's why I'm like, don't be giving the daddy too much now, just because he don't like
her. Like, wait now, I'm an actual Marxist. I can tell you.
So we at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. Do we still have a guest coming through or no? Maybe. I don't know.
I believe we do.
Let's take a quick break and then we can find out for sure and let people know what's coming up and hitting that like button and subscribe if they new to the channel. So let's take a break right here on no other than the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like button is down there and it's asking to get pushed. Also, go ahead and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, and you shall see some stuff we just dropped yesterday. Everybody was wondering what's going on with Kamal. If you want to find out what's going on with Kamal, go ahead and be a Patreon member. Find out if he was... Is he leaving? Was he leaving? What? I don't know. You need to go over there and become a member and you can find out. And another thing you can do also is you can go to our website and donate. blkliberationmedia.org. All right, with that said, I wanted to talk about a sister that's been gracing our ears with some beautiful music and our TV screens. Let me talk about Little Sims.
So jazzy, they sit you down to school, you want Selassie. Tell them you're nothing without a woman, no. Woman to woman to woman.
All right, Little Sims, coming straight out of London, England. You might have seen her in the series Top Boy, playing the girlfriend of one of the major drug dealers. But she has been putting out music for a while. Her first album came out in 2015. Curious Tales of Trials and Persons. Then she came out with Stillness in Wonderland and then Gray Area, which won her some awards for Best Album over there in Europe. But then in 2021, she came out with Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, which was a very, very dope album. She pretty much gets compared to like a British Lauryn Hill, which is one of her people she definitely looks up to for inspiration. So I suggest that you go check this sister out. I really love the fact that she's spitting knowledge and some consciousness and at the same time giving some dopeness, because she's also inspired by like Nina Simone, John Coltrane, Billie Holiday, and you can hear it in the music. And the lyrics are there, the beats are there, complete package, and she can act her ass off. So go check her out. Like I said, she has over 5 studio albums, a bunch of dope singles, and some very dope videos. So big up Little Sims. With that said, let's get back to Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do.
She a gonna go, calm with it, never let the marijuana fail. Though a sucker for the romance, take you down.
Yeah. And there you go. Little Sims, a dope star in the solar system. That's representing. All right. You on mute, Jackie. Did you ever get did you ever watch Top Boy?
I did. I watched the first season. I don't know. I think I'm kind of burned out on that kind of
from gangster killings and drug dealers.
Drug dealers, I think. Not necessarily gangsters in general.
Okay. But yeah, it is seeming like every good show nowadays has some drug dealing, killing, and all that stuff.
Not on
I'm kind of
You said not
Not
on
on
Housewives.
Housewives.
That's a different kind of
This violence with glasses being thrown and stuff like that.
No, they don't throw glasses at people. They throw it down on the table.
Poor ground.
Okay. The leg has even been thrown once.
A what?
Yeah, a leg.
A prosthetic leg?
A prosthetic.
Oh. Aviva on Housewives of New York took it off and put it on the table to make her point.
Word. Really, really.
Wow.
Okay. Well. All right. So yeah, that's your artist spotlight, and I will catch you on the next break. Y'all have a good one. We got a dope guest coming up, so
we sure do.
Yeah.
You want to introduce, or wait, you got to do that little break thing, yeah, doctor? Oh, music.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. So glad you are here with us. I'm Jackie Lukman, joined by Erica Ryan, ear doctors in the background. And did y'all know that this week begins the 75th or whatever annual Congressional Black Caucus Legislative Congress, that completely waste of time of an event, and where all of the Black elected officials get together and pat themselves on the back for all of the fantastic work they've done passing legislation to meet the needs of their constituents. Or have they? To talk about this event and a response to it that is being planned, we are happy to be joined by Evan, a member of Pan-African Community Action and Black Alliance for Peace. Evan, get in here. Where are you?
Hey, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go.
My fault. I'm trying to work out these settings. How y'all comrades doing? It's great to be here.
Peace. Great. Thank you for coming on and talking about these events that are coming up. So there are a couple of things that are being planned or that have been planned as a response to this Congressional Black Caucus Legislative Conference. And we wanted you to come on to explain what these events are, but more importantly, why the events are happening. So what's going on here with the response to the CBC, and why do it? Why have a response?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's important to highlight, as you have been doing so excellently on Women's Wednesday, all the contradictions that are present with this Black Miss Leadership class. You were focusing mostly on the debate and Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris or whatever they're calling her. But this evening, September 11th, from 7 to 9 p.m., PACA and the BAT Mid-Atlantic region will be having a Assad Shakur Study Group, or ASSG, that's titled A Pan-African Perspective on the Black Miss Leadership Class. And at that event this evening, we're going to be having more of a focus on the Congressional Black Caucus. And that's particularly timely, right? Just because the CBC is actually having their annual legislative conference this week in DC. I'm pretty sure it starts today. So, very timely, and, we want to focus on them, put a spotlight on them and their history, their voting record, and really kind of illustrate for the community how they do not have our interests. That is the masses of working, colonized people, African people in mind. And I can go into more details about the event a little bit later, but yeah, that's the overview for this evening.
So how will people be able to engage this event? And for people who are looking at the CBC or the members of the CBC as really like their elected officials, their champions in Congress, and their voice, right? Because the CBC presents themselves as I have such a hard time saying this, the conscience of the Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Evan?
I mean, yeah, they are the conscience of the pro-military, pro-cop, pro-imperialist ruling class. I mean, that sounds accurate. But as you say, right, it is very clear. I mean, I think our people go for unfortunately are tricked, propagandized into thinking that these people serve their interests, voting for them, and they get into office, and you can see by their voting record, by what they say, what they don't say, that they are simply serving the white supremacist, capitalist, imperialist class. That is what they do. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into too many specifics and ruin the event this evening, right? Because we'll be going into more detail there. And just to be clear, we would love to have everybody who can come in person. As I said, it's going to start at 7 p.m. It'll be at the Black Workers and Wellness Center at 2500 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, Washington, D.C. There will be food and refreshments, so please come through in person. But if you can't come through in person, you can. It's a hybrid event, so you can register on Zoom, and you just have to go to tinyurl. That's tinyurl.com/Africans study, and that Africans is plural.
Yeah, Evan, I'm wondering, especially in light of what was seen last night at the debate, for those who have watched, why do you think it's important now to highlight the role of the CBC, not only in their positions in the Democratic Party, but what that means in terms of local elections? Because folks always say, it's one thing to have the general vote for president, but we need to really be fixated on local elections. Can you talk about some of the juxtapositions between the CBC locally that we've noticed?
I mean, yeah, absolutely, right. So we see that these CBC members support, well, first off, just broadly speaking, they support imperialism, right? They support the military, as I said, right? For one example, right, in 2014, 80% of the CBC voted to continue the Pentagon program to arm local police, right? The 1033 program, which I know, Erica, you've written about before. But that is a direct impact on our communities, right? So when we talk about the militarization of police, when we talk about the murder that literally just happened in DC of a young violence interrupter, right? The training that those cops get, the military equipment, decommissioned military equipment that they get and use on our communities, on our internally colonized communities here in the United States, the CBC is supporting that. The CBC has had a hand in facilitating that transfer, as you can see with that vote, among many. Another example is them voting to, broadly speaking, voting to make cops a protected class back in 2018, right? So, I think that one of the most salient points that our community can really latch onto is police violence, police crimes, police brutality, right? And we can see just in those two examples how the CBC supports that hand in glove.
Yeah, Evan, how do you see the ability for people in our community, particularly now, with everything that is going on that's being facilitated by the Democratic Party at large, how do you see our people being able to kind of parse through all of the rhetoric, the wordsmithing, the theatrics, the propaganda, and really be able to get to the core of what not just the Democratic Party really is, but what the role of the CBC is in relation to us within the Democratic Party? Do you see that as being a more difficult lift now as opposed to before this election, this administration, because people are always like, oh, it's easy to organize under this president or that president. See, you just answered my. Go ahead.
So another example, right, that has blowbacks internally would be the CBC support of this concept of a Russian boogeyman, right? And I know we've talked about it here. You've talked about it here on this platform, right? But the case of the Uhuru 3, right? There's a direct line between that kind of concept of this Russian boogeyman and, of course, radical Africans here not being able to have our own positions, right? Because obviously Russians paid for us to do. I know, Jackie, I know you know about that. So, it's incredibly, it's just incredibly hard, right, to get people to often understand that, because the propaganda is so intense, right? And it's very odd, right? As you saw, as we, unfortunately, I felt like my brain was melting last night, but as we all saw kind of during the debate, right? Harris is literally trying to outflank Trump from the right, on militarism, right? No, they're fighting about who loves Israel more, who loves Ukraine more, who's going to have the most lethal military, right? Who loves cops more? So, we can kind of just see that consistent positioning, which should be easy to notice, right? But, unfortunately, our community is so propagandized that all we can think of, is the fact that she has a silk press, right? or the fact that she's an AKA, right? These, this identity reductionism that the liberals are so good at. We're seeing it very sharply in this campaign, and we see it with all the CBC members as well. Whenever they're, in Congress wearing their kente cloth, but selling us up to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. The juxtaposition, like the seeing them wear the kente cloth, seeing how strongly they advocate, I guess, for Black rights, but then also knowing that AFRICOM expanded under Obama primarily with the full support of the CBC. And then to your point, you mentioned the 1033 program. Well, those weapons that are coming back from the military bases from the expansion of AFRICOM and things like that. So there's a perpetual cycle that the CBC sort of perpetuates. But how is it that they're getting away with being quote unquote progressive, as opposed to like when you see a Tim Scott or others who may not, they're still Black politicians, but they are distinctly, or they're made to be seen distinctly different from members of the CBC.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think your point about AFRICOM is well taken, right? It started under the Bush administration, but as you said, expanded mightily under Obama, right? And we can see how a Black face in a high place really facilitates the imperialism, the neocolonialism, the racism, right? And the CBC operates the same way. I think, our people are at least sophisticated enough to understand, right? Okay, the Tim Scotts, right? They're so painfully, obviously not for us. And there's this desire to have any kind of representation or, humanization of our people, right? In these halls of power. But I think that, because of that, they missed the memo, they missed the boat, right? And don't see how these people, right, support AFRICOM, support militarization through AFRICOM, support police militarization through the 1033 program, support heightened police powers, right? But I think, our people unfortunately have trouble seeing that because they market themselves, right? Because the marketing is so good, right? Because because they market themselves, right, as these supporters, as the conscience of Congress, right? As Jackie was saying earlier. And I unfortunately, right, not enough people watch this platform to get your sharp analysis. Not enough people read Hood Communist and see your writing there, Eric, and your other comrades. Not enough people read Black Agenda Report, right? But because they're not getting that analysis, not enough people come to ASSGs, right, in DC. Because they're not getting that kind of analysis, they will. It goes to kind of the lowest indicator of of their quote unquote Blackness, like they're joining a sorority or Obama having a Black wife, right? Somehow that means that they're going to be looking out for the masses of African people here and around the world.
So what else is going on this week, Evan, in this response to the CBC? Because for people who don't know, because most people don't know, because the Congressional Black Caucus's legislative conference is very expensive to attend. So most working class and poor people can never go because, number one, it's held in Washington, D.C. And I live here and I can't afford the hotels up in this piece. So I know the rest of us cannot. And the registration fee, $200. So that eliminates a whole lot of working class, poor students, elders from being able to attend this conference. That is 4 days from Wednesday to Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, 4 or 5 days. that's supposed to be about policies that impact them, but they don't know because they can't afford to go. So what else is happening this week in response to this conference to kind of raise these issues among our people?
Right. I mean, you said it, Jackie, right? It's very expensive to go to the Walter E. Washington Convention Center and participate in this chicanery, as Erica likes to say, right? But if you wanna pull up at 5 p.m., there will be a demonstration outside, right? That the Black Alliance for Peace, the Mid-Atlantic region, will be hosting and sponsoring, and we'll have speakers. We'll be highlighting the contradictions between what the CBC says that they're doing, what they're actually doing, right? So we can think about this as like the people's response to the CBC, right? Where the people's voice will actually be heard and not the voices of, various corporations and private equity firms and the like.
Mm-hmm. So, yep, that is at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center here in Washington, D.C. If you are anywhere near any kind of transportation, anything, and you can get here on Saturday at 5 p.m. To come help us break up their little party. And just a little inside information for you. The reason we're doing this picket on this day is because it's the closing awards ceremony that they're having. They're patting themselves on the back for all of the work they've done for the people. And we know different. So, yes. And we heard that a certain someone may be there as a special guest, but whether that certain someone is there or not, we're going to be there raising the contradictions of the CBC and their complicity in our oppression. Evan, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about the teach-in tonight, Black Workers and Wellness Center, 2500 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, Southeast in Washington, D.C., 7 p.m. If you can make it in person. And if you cannot make it in person, the link to register for the webinar was placed in the chat, but it's tinyurl.com/Africans study, one word. Thanks so much, Evan.
No, thanks so much for
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Erica. Peace out. I appreciate y'all.
Peace.
Nice.
I love what we do.
I some pretty good guests.
If you do have that $200 and you want to go, you'll be able to attend such seminars as Africa Brain Trust, Our Africa, Our Future, or Mastering Your Mindset, or Building Power, Black Youth from Protest to Policy.
I have that agenda open on my MacBook because every day I look at it and laugh at something ridiculous on that agenda. These people are not serious about, the only thing they are serious about is their paycheck. They are not serious about serving the people. They don't know what working class and poor and marginalized people, they have no idea what we need, and they don't care. They don't care. They are no different from the white politicians telling y'all, stop trusting these people.
I remember when we did it 2 years ago, I think, the CBC thing, and that wasn't even on the closing ceremony. I think that was like the opening day. And Ayanna Presley, I was handed something. I didn't see her. I was handing it to somebody coming out of the building, and he was saying he can't take it because he's security. He can't take the stuff. But then she reached out and she said, "I'll take it. And thank you all so much for being out here.
Yep,
this is really great."
That.
And then whisked her ass in her car. And I'm like, these fucking people. She really did pat on my back like, good girl. Thank you.
Right. And didn't change one vote from supporting war and imperialism. Not one. Got a whole back because didn't she get the trifold, the AFRICOM trifold?
Yeah.
And the fact sheet. And that did not move nothing to look, you can't trust these people. They are in it for the people who pay them. And that's not us. That is not us.
I hope they're at least covering food with that $200.
I don't know.
You gotta have breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I feel like it's open bar.
There's a vendor. What is it called? The vendor exhibit hall. Yeah, that's there for a reason.
Oh yeah.
That's
you can go right over there though. All right, well, let's take a quick, real quick break, and we're gonna come back and bring y'all some more before we get out. We got about 30 more minutes or so. Rock out with y'all and give y'all what that boom bap breakfast right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
Black people, what y'all gonna do? 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 Black people, what y'all gonna do when you wake up and find that you're dead? With maggots and roaches eating the pus out of your prostituted mind, your white lifting hands, massaging your heart with red hot branding iron. They're writing songs of love, but not for me. They're writing songs of love, but not for me. Here we are, employees of all love, but yet we are working overtime to cover up our loneliness. John Coltrane died in vain, a love supreme. John Coltrane died in vain, a love supreme. Where are the low staccato screams of black unity? John Coltrane died in vain, a love supreme. Where are the higher octaves of righteousness and truth? John Coltrane died in vain, a love supreme. Peace and love. John Coltrane died in vain. What are black people doing? Enough of.
Little last post there for you. Back with a little bit of Down with the King, Run DMC. There you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was dope. I'll
be trying. I gotta step my game up on Women's Wednesday. So
you do.
Say you do. Nice. I can't rock a turban like Ricky every day. You know?
What?
Most can't.
They can't. They can't pull it off like you pulling it off today.
Most
Big up.
can't.
Big up.
And he just disappeared. Throws a little chaos bomb and then runs out.
Yeah. That's every day.
Yeah. So I was looking at this little story. This is not, this is another one of those things where I'm just like, man, how are we just ignoring? How people are on just relentless with the Project 2025 business. Oh, we need to be saved from the GOP and their evil Project 2025. Meanwhile, this is the US's response to Israel unaliving an American citizen. If American citizenship is supposed to be valuable in any way, if this government is supposed to ride for its people wherever we are in the world, how come the Israeli military did what they did to this woman, and this is the only response that was given by the U.S. government? Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's comments were the strongest yet from a U.S. official after the Israeli military said it was highly likely it unintentionally killed a Senor AG. I probably mispronounced her name. I apologize. But Israel acknowledged Tuesday that its forces had likely shot dead an American citizen near a demonstration last week in the occupied West Bank, leading Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to call for, quote, fundamental changes, end quote, in the way the Israeli Defense Forces operates there, including changes to their rules of engagement. We need to stop right there. Because even the Washington Post says that the West Bank is occupied territory. Occupied by whom? The Israeli Defense Force. They're not supposed to be there. That's not their land. They're occupying land that doesn't belong to them to oppress the people there and to eventually ethnically cleanse them so they can steal the rest of that land. But Blinken's response is not get the hell out of the West Bank, stop occupying Palestine. His response is change the way you engage with the people you occupy. After these people killed an American citizen. Okay, this is all happening not under a Republican administration.
No.
GOP is not doing this. Project 2025 is not doing this. This is the Democratic Party doing this. This is the Biden/Harris administration doing this. And it will be the Harris/Walz administration that will continue to allow this to be done. So in a statement, the IDF said its initial inquiry found that it was highly likely that a senior AEG 26 had been unintentionally hit by fire, which was not aimed at her, but aimed at the key instigator of what it called a violent riot in the West Bank village of Beita, where demonstrators had thrown rocks at security forces. The IDF has tanks, all kinds of bombs, 2,000-pound bombs that they just dropped on a refugee camp full of tents. And they murder people because they use the only things they have left to defend themselves against occupation forces, which are rocks. And the response is to target people with snipers, because see, it was the sniper who killed this woman. So it wasn't intentional. It wasn't unintentional. It was intentional. They knew who she was. The statement said the military had launched a criminal investigation of the killing. No, they didn't. In one of the sharpest criticisms the Biden administration has made of Israeli military operations in the West Bank, Blinken said, quote, "We've long seen reports of the security forces looking the other way when extremist settlers use violence against Palestinians. We've seen reports of excessive force by Israeli security forces against Palestinians." He spoke during a news conference in London with Britain's new foreign secretary, David Lammy. That's the black guy next to him. Lammy is trash too. It's not acceptable, Blinken said. It has to change, and we'll be making that clear to the senior most members of the Israeli government. However, he did not identify any specific changes the United States was prepared to make in policy toward Israel. So the Israel army just kills American citizens, because this is not the first one. This is not the first American they have killed. And the response from the Biden administration is, oh, they need to control themselves, and we are going to give them a good talking to. Anyway,
this is more of a response
going over there.
Yeah, I think this is more of a response so that we've seen from when they killed that American journalist. Yeah. I don't remember any acknowledgement of that. And that was all, in the midst of the Trump doesn't care about media or journalists, what happened to the one in Saudi Arabia. But as you were saying this, I remembered seeing in passing Biden's response. So I went to go find it. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden says of is it Aysenur Agi? Is that how you say it?
That's how I've been saying it.
Yeah, she's Turkish American, but they're naming her strictly as an American activist in CNN. And they're quoting Biden saying, I am outraged and deeply saddened by the death of Aysenur Agi. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. Biden said in a statement, adding that the shooting is, quote, totally unacceptable, end quote. Biden called for full accountability for her death after Israel has acknowledged its responsibility. Quote, a preliminary investigation has indicated that it was the result of a tragic error resulting from an unnecessary escalation, end quote. Sorry, a lot of things just started popping up. Hold on one second. There we go. Quote, the U.S. government has had full access to Israel's preliminary investigation and expects continue access as the investigation continues so that we can have confidence in the result. We will continue to stay in close contact with Israeli and Palestinian authorities regarding the circumstances. He goes on to say, Kamala Harris then says, no one should be killed for participating in a peaceful protest. Interesting. The shooting that led to her death is unacceptable and raises legitimate questions about the conduct of IDF personnel in the West Bank. But what Biden has said is that he's spoken with the IDF, and that they said that this was the result of shooting the ground and it ricocheting and hitting her. So that it hit indirectly and unintentionally by IDF fire. They're going on. Yeah, Biden told reporters on the South Lawn, apparently it was an accident. It ricocheted off the ground and she got hit by accident, but we're working on that now. So you see the semantics? Like, do you see that they're acknowledging that she was killed, but it was an accident, but we're going to do all we can to get tougher on Israel while giving them more weapons because they have the right to defend themselves against these terrorists. But everyone has a right to peaceful protesting, though. Like, you see, like it is the same the same speech and the same conversation. It's whiplash. And people, again, we're supposed to be practical about genocide and practical about these things. And they're basically telling us they don't give a shit. And they're not going to challenge Israel. Because now that the more the reports have come out, because we can say that Americans don't care if Americans kill, but Israel don't care if Israelis are killed either, because they have the Hannibal
directive.
They have the Hannibal directive where they kill their own freaking people, and did on October 7th, as every single major publication now, especially out of Australia, I think is the biggest one to come out and detail that is the actual case of what happened on October 7th. Again, it's still being depicted in a particular way so that they can validate the continuous support, even as there's an ongoing case against them from the ICC that they're ignoring, because the U.S. also has its own directive of how to deal with the ICC and the ICJ if they were to ever get pulled into court.
And it's funny because newspapers like the Post, these major outlets will use phrases like occupied West Bank, which is accurate, right? But because people don't have a political understanding of what occupation really is, what it really means, and what occupation means to the people who are already in that land, it's just a phrase that doesn't mean anything, right? Because there's no conversation about what it means for Israel to occupy the West Bank. Why are they occupying? How? What does that occupation look like? And why do the people in the West Bank respond to said occupation with throwing rocks, right? It's like they say occupied West Bank, but they say it in order to say, well, look, at least we called it occupied, but not having any kind of context into what that really means, because settler colonists can never admit that their pogroms, that their plans or their ideology is violent, is genocidal. That occupation is the prelude to genocide.
Also, is there no question about how does one occupy their own, right? If Israel is so certain that all this belongs to them,
right?
How is it that they they want you to read this and be like, oh yes, sensible, and any question about it, then you become the issue, but you're legitimately validating that this is stolen land. How are they occupying land that's already theirs? This is my home. Am I occupying my house? It's my house. So I just think that there are deeper questions that are just not being resolved, because I don't think that people want to peel back that, because what does it say about you? And I think that that's fundamentally the question that individuals here within Empire do not want to ask themselves. So there's a whole lot of go along to get along, kind of keep your head down, vote because that's the right thing to do, you know, and then, you know, we've always survived kind of mentality. Well, we survived this, we'll survive whatever comes next. So it is this kind of, because we seen it with Hillary. I guessed out with her. But you didn't have to do that. You know, you didn't have to do that.
Like nobody was forcing anybody to.
You don't have to participate in this if you don't believe in it. Because these are the candidates that honestly this country deserves. This is a right-wing country. And to expect anything else from a duopoly is really living in delusion. And that whole campaign, that whole political campaign that Kamala is running is a delusional one, which is why she is backtracking on things she said then. And all of her supporters who are insisting that she would be better off have no response to the border wall. None. And also, that wall never stopped being built. That wall was being built that whole under Biden the whole time. And it never stopped being built.
How many laws, how many environmental laws in Texas did Biden get around to build his little section of the wall?
Before or after they was whipping the Haitians on horses. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is this administration. So if they call her the freaking immigration czar, it's like to say what, that she's light on it, and then we're supposed to go and say, oh no, she's tough on immigration. Look how look at how they're beating the Haitians up. You know, what other administration does that? You can expect that from Harris. Like, you know, that kind of positioning of her of her policies and her positions. Like, oh well, he didn't really, like, even to say, if he says, oh, she wants to defund, her response is going to be, of course not. We love law enforcement. We want to, like, because that was his response. That was Joe Biden's response.
Yep.
And then he did. He amped it up. The overall budget for policing went up 15% in just 2021. And that's including the 1033, because every time that the DOD budget goes up, the Department of Defense, and you see that gets fatter and fatter and fatter by the tens of the millions every year. And every time that goes up, so does that 1033 budget, which means that your local city police departments has more access to these military-grade weapons to come after you. And I don't think that that's being acknowledged in a serious way, because there's a lot of fear-mongering around these false choices. We have been given no choice. There's no choice. There's no bad or worse. It's all bad. It's all worse. And
it's worse and worse.
Right, but I wouldn't even say, I think flat out, everybody bad. I don't even think there's like another level to the worst. It's just all bad. Because and we're not fundamentally not even prepared for either direction. If it's him or her. We have not organized our people to be prepared for what that looks like. Because we have people walking into this election thinking that she's a better choice. So we already know our people are not prepared.
No.
Because if they think she's a better choice, then what you think they're going to do? The same thing they did these last 4 years. Well, we did our due diligence. We voted. We'll be back in 4 years. We'll be back in 2 for the primaries. That's it. And then whatever happens, everybody just watches happen. So this idea that I'm supposed to continuously talk about Trump, we know what we're gonna get with Trump. We did the whole 2016 to 2020. We've seen it. We understand it. And he's not backing down from the language. So why would I continue to reiterate this man is saying a bunch of nonsense? None of this is true. Because when I do that, that deflects from the fact that none of the things coming out of the Democratic Party is true. And that's what we need to be focusing on. When our comrade, rest in peace, Glenn Ford, Lord knows he is rich. Lord knows he is rich. But when
we need that brother right now. Good
he said a more effective evil, this is the examples to which he was speaking of, that we do not, our fixation on the Republican Party being uniquely evil makes us dismiss the evil coming out of the Democratic Party through policy. Not just rhetoric, but through policy. You think it's less racist to fund the police and send it into our communities? That's not racism? You think it's less racist to deny us housing? You think it's less racist to be because they're not saying nigga? Like they're not calling us monkey? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because it's not overt, it's not racism? Do you think they're on our side? And what has that been proven?
No, Ricky, it's not racism because it's a black woman doing it. It's a black woman.
Yeah, just like listen to the shit she's saying about immigration as a child of immigrants. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And look at the narrative that she's allowing to be promoted about immigration as a child of, because it's not as extreme. That's subjective. Right. That's subjective. Sure, okay, so she's not walking around here saying that Haitian people are eating cats. But she ain't. What is the difference between that and the cannibal gangs?
There is no difference. None.
So it's all xenophobia. It's all racism. And it's coming out of both parties. Mm-hmm. and we're being made to believe that we had no other option. And to build another option is utopia. It's not practical.
Like, but then, Ricky, when people say, oh, you socialists, you want utopia, like, okay, we probably won't get to perfection because utopia doesn't exist. And I hope we all know this. But damn, what happened to shoot for the moon and maybe you get a star or two? Shit, can't we try to do something better than what we have? Or are y'all just happy continuing to roll around in the mud and the blood that both of these parties continue to perpetuate? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Y'all sound like you like bathing in blood. And if you like fascism, just say so. But stop shaming the rest of us who are like, that's fascism, and so is that. And I'm not voting for either one of those.
Yeah. And to make this point, like, and again, I'm not out here telling people don't vote for people. Let's listen. It's a fundamental right for as long as we have it, for as long as we have it, because the Democrats don't believe in safety nets. So this will be on the chopping block in the next general election coming up. But I'm not telling people not to vote. What I'm telling people is don't come to me telling me that she's a better candidate or that the Democrats are a better choice, because this is what you're going to hear out of my mouth. This is the response you're going to get from me. It's not don't vote for these people. It's okay, so this is what's actually going on. Because I don't just talk to the silo of people. I talk to a plethora of people. So I know what's being said. But the issue becomes we are out-organized. We are out-propagandized. We are a small minority of people who think this way, who challenge the status quo. We are a very small minority who challenge the status quo. And we are isolated. But that does not mean do not tell the truth every time, every single time. It goes without saying that both parties, both the presidential candidates in this debate are representations of the imperialist bourgeoisie.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at some of these comments because I don't even understand the delusion that's going on in some people's heads. It's a special kind of You're right, Brittany. I don't have no money. And that's why I hate this system, because we don't have any money. We don't have any housing. We don't have any health care. We don't have the education that we deserve to be free because we're getting ripped off. Ain't none of us got no money. And me being broke, people being broke, that precludes us from telling the truth about who's stealing from us. And we're supposed to be silent about who is stealing from us because you don't want to try for anything different. No, you can go ahead and do whatever it is that makes you comfortable and happy. Me, I'm going to continue fighting for the truth. I'm like, Ricky, I am not the one to come with lesser evil and we can organize better under this person. And you ain't organizing nothing now. What you doing now?
And I think what's being expressed too in the chat is that's the rebuttal. Why would because we hear that from the earn your leisure people, right? No, the only way to build a substantial amount of power politically, if we want any political power, we have to have money, because people only listen to that. And that that again, we are being out propagandized by the right wing. Like, because if you think about where this logic is coming from, it's right wing logic. It's right wing logic. It's individualism. It's not anything that's concrete. It's not based on any material reality. But it is a deterrent, and it is when you look at how easily swayed people are by, I guess, this influencer kind of era that we're in, where people could just say a thing, then yeah, anything that we're saying, especially as a small isolated minority going against the status quo, sounds ridiculous. It sounds obscene. It sounds like we don't know what we're talking about and we want our people to suffer. And I think that's really the expression that we get when we get pushback. Like, well, why would we follow you? You ain't got shit. You ain't build shit. And that's why I say that, that's why I believe the build it and they will come. And, and I think that we get wrapped up in this kind of, I think now is a point. Now is the point in time where we need to start pushing the idea more strongly about dual power and what that means. Because to that point, there's a lot of conversations, and I can agree with the criticism of that. There's a lot of conversations about tearing down, right? There needs to be, what are we replacing it with? What does it look like to replace that with? What hands do we need to have on deck, right? Not so much the money, but what are the masses that we need to have to fulfill this out? And I think we need to start having serious conversations around dual power, because if we start to have those conversations, it removes us from that duopoly option. People start thinking more largely about liberated zones, about community control. I think they start thinking more broadly about those other options. But right now, if you look on, I think anybody's Facebook right now, the aunties, our team Kamala, they all in, and that's the work.
It's oh my God. And Brittany, if I misunderstood you, I apologize. But I swear to God, these rebuttals to the truth, it's tiring. Because like what Ricky said, we represent a very, very small percentage of the Black population in this country. Because we all had to come out of the same indoctrination, the exact same indoctrination. Right? So we look around and we are having to deal with contending with our own internal contradictions, right? Undoing our own indoctrination, getting our own ideology straight. And then we realize that when we start telling the truth, then we are having to fight white folks. We're having to fight Black folks. Let me be specific. We're having to fight white folks on the right and white folks on the alleged left who don't like it when we talk about the particular struggles of particular groups of people, right? And then we have to fight with Black capitalists, Black neoliberals, and those few Black conservatives. And let's not forget the ADOS and FBA folks now that are a part of this whole conversation. And then we have to fight the state, right? Because as small of a minority as we are, there's a reason the state comes after us all the time, because we're right. Because we're right. We are telling the truth about what this system really is. And we are the threat to the state. If I don't know how people don't get that. How do you have an 81-year-old man on trial right now? For this man, Omali Yeshitela has been doing this work for 60 years. And he waits until he's 80-something years old to all of a sudden become an agent of Russia. Get the heck out of here. Mm-hmm. That's why that trial is not going to last 2 weeks. And they did closing arguments yesterday. It lasted a week. We are anxiously awaiting what we think is going to be a not guilty verdict. But we're keeping but that's why the state comes after us. The African radicals, the working class and poor white radicals, the Filipino radicals, the Asian radicals, the indigenous radicals, because we are the threat to the duopoly, to the state. But we're the ones who have to fight everybody. We got to fight the state. We got to fight the capitalists, Black and white. We got to fight the imperialists, Black and white. We got to fight the right wing. We got to fight the white left that's adjacent to the right wing. Oh my God. And y'all wonder why we got an attitude? Shit.
Nigger sister with an attitude.
Did you say nigger sister? Nigga.
No Simone Necro though.
Yo, y'all are bringing it as usual. In case y'all don't know, this is the Remix Morning Show, and this is Women's Wednesday, where they got bars all day. You're going to hear bars here. You might not have heard it last night, but you definitely going to hear it. Word. So before we get up out of here, let's find out what we got coming up from you two lovely ladies. Jackie, what you got going on?
The last thing really quickly. I just want to highlight
what was it?
The Haiti, hands off Haiti. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
So the Haiti Americans team released a statement about the continuous digging into Haiti by the U.S. So I do want folks to check that out. BAP condemns another U.S. plans for yet another UN military occupation of Haiti. So the situation with Kenya occupying is going awry. The soldiers are not being paid. Things are being slowed up. But the U.S. is planning to deepen the occupation by turning it not just into a peacekeeping mission, a temporary one, but a permanent military occupation similar to the one in 2004 that we've seen. So I want folks to go check that out. And please pass it along, because for all the conversations about Haitians, since everybody care now, since we all concerned about the Haitian community, that we need to be reading up on what's actually happening in Haiti and defend it.
Mm-hmm. All right. There it is. Jackie, Darker Than Blue, what we got going on?
Yes, there will be a show Friday. That's all I can tell you.
Just
I have
come
no
on
idea
out
what
and
it's going to be
find
about yet. I don't know what I'm talking about yet. I'm sure it'll be the Congressional Black Caucus. And like I said, I'm gonna do a show about what I can tell you about what it's been like on the campaign trail. It's been interesting. It's been very interesting, very educational.
All right. Yeah, you definitely want to tune in and hear about that. All right, so it is time to get up out of here in a minute, and I'll do a little something. And make sure y'all tune in tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock a.m. Did I say that right? Yeah, 8 a.m. And we're going to bring some more boom bap breakfast for y'all. So with that said, let's get out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
There's a time of the day when the sun's going down. That's the golden time of day. It's a time that the sun turns to gold all around. That's the golden time of day. Southern girl, don't you know? You're good to me and I dig you so. Alright, I wouldn't be right here if you hadn't been right there. I wanna talk to you. Southern girl, you're the one. Lots of loving, lots of fun. The tenderness you give me, I wanna take it everywhere. Yeah.
And we out of here, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in again. Right here to the Remix Morning Show. R.I.P. Frankie Beverly with Frankie Beverly and Maze. Much love to you and your fam. Peace, my people. Remix Morning Show.